All right, friends, good morning to you. We've got a lot on tap for us when it comes down to our severe weather threat. Moving forward as early now as Thursday. I'm glad that you can join us. I know we've got a lot of people on our Facebook Live right now that are moving and grooving, and we are also going to start up with the chat board as well, getting you that information, that you need to know when you're asking those questions. Right now, we're at around about 70 viewers just on Facebook alone, so we're going to get going here and start talking about that severe weather threat in more of an in-depth kind of conversation. So let's start moving and grooving through this. First and foremost, active weather ahead. That's what we're talking about here. And when it comes down to it, we do have a severe weather potential as early as our Thursday forecast. A first warn is now in place, and we also have them all the way through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 4 consecutive days of first warns on tap. Now, the difference in all of this is that we can first warn on a day that doesn't have a severe weather opportunity. Remember, that first warn is all about something that's going to slow you down and maybe change your daily routine. It could be more of a nuisance for you. So, for example, we could have a 40 or 50% chance for scattered showers or thunderstorm activity, but not really a chance for severe weather. Nonetheless, though, it's worth a first warn because that's going to change your daily routine. Maybe it stops you from bringing your kids to their extracurricular activities after school, or maybe you're thinking about having a lunch outdoors, and now you have to think about making yourself a lunch, which takes extra time because you've got to eat indoors. Maybe it's going to be slowing you down on the roadways because they're wet and slick conditions. There might be some more traffic. So that's kind of what a first warn is. What's interesting about the fact that we've got these first warns in place for the next literally 4 days here, friends, is that we have every single one of those first warns under a severe weather risk. At the same time, we've got high rain chances. So that's a big deal for us all the way around. We've got a first warn for Thursday, first warn Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, in this particular situation, this is giving you an idea of where we are with just the wet weather opportunity overall, right? Scattered to then numerous showers and storms, maybe a little bit more of an isolated to scattered event on Saturday, and then Sunday's forecast closer just to that scattered opportunity. But even so, when it comes down to severe weather, the opportunity for it to be more aggressive on a lower scattered wet weather scale is looking more likely for us, meaning we're going to see a better opportunity for powerful storms to develop Saturday compared to even our Thursday forecast. Even though in this graphic, you're seeing it as a higher rain chance, we have a better opportunity for stronger storm cells to occur in the lower rain chance, which is right there into our Saturday forecast. So that kind of gives you an explanation of where we are. There's a lot of adjusting that we have to do as we issue first warns, and of course, the opportunity to issue a first warn weather day, which is that heightened, kind of red alert we all have to be very aware of, which, by the way, we still have an opportunity to upgrade even as we move through the next 48 to even 72 hours. So it's going to be something that we're going to continue to monitor closely for you. With that being said, let's go straight in to our Thursday forecast here. I've got the severe weather prediction model for it, and this is the lowest severe weather threat we have throughout the next several days. All right? Notice what I just said there. Over those next 4 first warn days, this is the lowest severe weather threat that we have in those 4 days. And as you can tell, it's a marginal risk for severe storms in that kind of darker green zone or coloration. You can see off around western Atchison and then moving straight down to Anderson and portions of Lynn County there, maybe close to around the Lacine area. Let me go ahead and kind of pop it up for you, show you the possible hazards. And typically for our severe weather during the spring season, it's more likely that we'll see a damaging wind and hail event over tornado development. And that's exactly what we've got going on for our Thursday forecast. Anything in the mint green that you see here, right? You're seeing that right through the rest of the viewing area. That's still wear and tear thunderstorm opportunities. And remember that the wear and tear thunderstorm opportunity just means that we are under the severe weather criteria. We can meet almost right up to it, but still not meet the criteria, i.e., we could still have thunderstorms here to the metro with gusts at like 45, 50 miles an hour, torrential rain, frequent lightning, and we could still see hail develop, just not the size of a quarter, maybe the size of a pea or the size of a marble, which is smaller than that quarter, right? And that would keep us under the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning or opportunity. Now, that's more concentrated out towards those western counties, right? We also have our Friday forecast, and I'm going to bring that in for you now, too. This one is much more aggressive in this yellow coloration. This is meaning a slight risk for severe weather or a severe weather threat level 2. The green is a level 1, the orange is a level 3, and the red is a level 4 for us. So we're in the level 2 zone. But even furthermore, I want to give you some more information on this. Just because you're in the yellow zone here doesn't mean that, we're still on this kind of low-ish scale for severe storm activity. And in fact, within the slight risk area that we've got here, there are levels to the severity in that slight risk area, right? Think of it like, okay, we've got a marginal risk for severe storm activity, and we can have within that marginal risk, a marginal risk level 1, a marginal risk level 2, a marginal risk level 3, and then we upgrade to slight risk, and then slight risk level 1, slight risk level 2, slight risk level 3, and then we upgrade to an enhanced risk, so on and so forth. In this particular location, the entire viewing area under this slight risk is technically a slight risk level 3, meaning a significant chance to see a severe weather threat within the area, meaning we're right there on the cusp of calling this an enhanced risk for severe storm activity, but we haven't quite made it there yet. So this is still a very impactful day, and it does encompass the entirety of the viewing area, including, of course, our highly dense populated areas, i.e. the metro. So where are we with our kind of weather impacts? Damaging wind, large size hail development, tornado opportunities. Those are the big ones. Technically, I would like to add flooding into this, but I didn't have room in this particular graphic to add it. So let me put this into motion for you to show you where we're at with that severe kind of weather impact risk area. And it's right there into the moderate threat. We're a solid moderate threat right now. If we do see severe storm activity, it's more likely that we're going to be getting in again to more of a damaging wind event. That'll be easily 58 mile per hour plus winds. We're talking hail the size of at least a quarter in diameter. And then we're also increasing that opportunity for tornado development. It is still in the low zone, but it's trying to increase to that moderate threat. We've been inching that closer and closer to that moderate threat. So it is something that we're going to have to continue to monitor closely for you, but we need to be very much aware of this and obviously take this very seriously as we move forward. Now, that's day 2 and day 3 that we just showed you. So we showed you Thursday, we showed you Friday. Let's go to day 4 in our outlook, and that's Saturday's forecast. So remember, it's going to be a little bit more ambiguous. It's going to be a little bit more of a widespread, broad, 10,000 feet up look to where we're at with severity, right? So it's going to show you a little differently compared to where we are with the detail of obviously our Thursday and our Friday forecast. So I'm popping this up here. Here's our Saturday outlook. Saturday outlook. Remember, we've got only a 15% and a 30%. You can almost think of this as slight risk and enhanced risk. Almost. It's not quite. Again, this is a little bit more broad brush because we're a little too far out, but we've got so much confidence this far out in our forecast that we had to add a severe weather opportunity to it all. All right, so that's where we're at right now. We've got this yellow zone, a 15% chance for severe storm activity to truly develop. I do believe that this may involve us getting into another slight risk scenario for severe storms or a severe weather level 2 in general. But notice around Emporia, you see that other zone here that kind of, I don't know, you almost want to call it tan or a very, very light brown, but technically that's the orange zone that we're talking about here. And that's as high as we can get with our potential during this time frame at 30%. And notice technically it straddles a little bit of Anderson County. So it is very close to our local area for Saturday. This leads us to believe that we could be seeing a much greater chance for strong storm cells to occur. The timing of it, obviously, we're going to get involved with that as well, but it is definitely looking to be a very impactful day. And of course, we've got Sunday's forecast too, and it's showing a slight risk zone, just like this yellow zone, over much of the area. I believe maybe Holt County and a little bit of northwestern Nodway County may not be in that severe weather zone for Sunday, but overall, it's still very impactful for the rest of us here, right? There's a lot going on to the atmosphere. Okay, a lot going on to the atmosphere, and there's a lot of different things that can go wrong and right to bring in severe weather or not to bring in severe weather. We call this uncertainty, right? I mean, we all understand that. You know, you hear that a lot when it comes down to tornado development or even hurricanes and tropical weather further south into the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. So I'm going to talk about our uncertainty when it comes down to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's forecast, all right? So I'm going to pop this up for you and go into a bit more detail on that uncertainty situation, why we have uncertainty to our severe weather opportunities through the next several days here. There are three big ticket items that we're monitoring for our uncertainty. One of them being the warm sector of this storm threat that's coming in. We've got an upper level low that's coming out of the south central plains. It's got an attached frontal boundary that stretches out towards the Tennessee River Valley. Further north, we've got another cold front that'll converge with it. It'll deepen further south and kind of meet up with it. And then we've got two other areas of low pressure out towards Oklahoma and, out towards Colorado and Wyoming that we're also looking to kind of feed off of and get some enhancement from. The warm sector that we're talking about is going to be just ahead of the low out of Oklahoma and along the fronts that are coming through from the north and one that stretches out towards the Tennessee River Valley. This is where we're going to see that warm sector. This is what's going to bring in a strong southerly flow that's going to bring in all that warm, moist air and instability to the atmosphere from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, we have got storm activity that starts Thursday. So the warm sector's there, and it starts Thursday. And we start with thunderstorm activity, getting into that severe weather opportunity. Depending on how much storm activity we see and how intense or severe these storms get on Thursday is going to dictate how large the warm sector of the rest of the storm system will be for the rest of our severe weather opportunity, meaning Friday through Sunday. The same thing can be said for instability to the atmosphere. We always talk about CAPE, C-A-P-E, in meteorology, and we've mentioned that a couple of times already this work week. C-A-P-E stands for something. It's convective, available, potential energy. Basically, what you need to know is that it's the available potential energy of the atmosphere. It's what these storms can feed off of to create severe weather activity. And part of that comes with instability to the atmosphere. And in order to get instability, we need warm air. We need warm air to lift and start to mix. If we lose that warm air, i.e. the warm sector, we start to lose instability, which means that we lose CAPE, C-A-P-E, or available potential energy of the atmosphere, which would lessen the severe weather opportunity. We just don't know how much energy is going to be left over after Thursday's event. And then we have the opportunity for storm speed, literally the speed at which the storms are moving from one area to the next. And in this particular situation, technically the whole storm system is tracking from the west to the east, but also from the south to the north. So really southwest to northeast for the entirety of this weather event. Some storms may move very, very fast and track to the east. And in that particular situation, they may not get enough time in the sweet spot, that warm sector, to really amp up and get into some major severe storm threats. Some of those will just quickly become a severe thunderstorm and then drop out to just a typical thunderstorm. But if we slow the speed down of these storms, then we have an opportunity to get into a widespread, broad, severe weather opportunity here that may produce large-size hail and then obviously that tornado development. Overall, we have all the ingredients for severe weather every single day, no matter what. It's just how much severe weather are we going to see within the viewing area? That's the question, and how intense that severe weather is going to get as we move forward in time. Does each storm produce rotation? Are we only going to see one or two? Are we going to see more broad, widespread hail opportunities? Those are the things that come with the uncertainty and what we're looking at in these three kind of conditions, right? And of course, our main thing is warm, moist air. That is a major fuel source for us to really amp up the severity, get into more energy, get into more instability. And that's something that has to come with the flow that we get in from the south, thanks to the storm systems that are developing out west. So a lot to kind of sort of throw on you, all this baggage to throw on you. But right now, there is a great opportunity on each one of those days to get to severe storm activity. It's just that when we come to the uncertainty, it's how much severe weather we're going to see in those days and how intense that severe weather will truly be overall. All right, let's go into a forecast model. I'm going to go into the high resolution model. This will really show you the next 24 to 36 hours. So this does include our Thursday forecast and technically even today's outlook. Notice that the cloud cover is going to build up for us for the day. And we do have an opportunity for umbrella weather, to tell you the truth. It is a small opportunity for some scattered showers, just some residual energy before we even get to the storm system. And you can see how it kind of pops up very speckled into the area, but nothing really aggressive here. It does warrant grabbing the umbrella, though, especially if you're up north, maybe around Buchanan County, and then pushing over towards St. Joe, Andrew counties, that kind of area. Even out west, you can see Lawrence, maybe Ottawa getting into a few isolated showers too. So it's well worthwhile to grab the umbrella as a precaution. As we move on into Thursday, all right, here we go. We're going to start to get into that upper level low pressure system from the south, start destabilizing the atmosphere, start to charge it up, and then we get into some strong storms, maybe as early as about 8 a.m. to that southwestern quadrant of our viewing area. Ottawa, Lacine, off around maybe Lawrence, I-35 there. You can see we get into some strong storm cells. Maybe a few isolated drizzles or showers around mid-morning for the metro, closer to around Olathe and perhaps Lee Summit. But once we make it to about mid-late morning, 9:30, 10 a.m., that's when it really amps up for us. You can see how we get those powerful colors of dark reds and magentas, indicative of maybe some severe weather activity. And it's kind of elongated around that marginal risk zone that we have for Tuesday for severe weather, right? But notice the oranges and yellows that get close to the metro and Olathe. These will be your wear and tear typical thunderstorms. I still don't want to rule out a rogue severe weather threat, even though we're keeping the marginal risk to the western counties. I'm not going to rule out an isolated rogue event for even a quick severe thunderstorm warning to pop up near the metro during this time frame. But it is mid-late morning that we're looking at in this particular model. And then moving forward, it continues through to the early afternoon, right through lunchtime. See how broad it gets in the oranges and yellows, right through the metro or high dense populated areas. Leavenworth County, right on up towards St. Joe. This could be those winds that gust up to maybe 40, 45 miles an hour. We could still see heavy rain, frequent lightning. We could even see pea-size or marble-size hail during this time frame. And then, of course, we move on in towards the mid-afternoon. It starts to exit out to the south and east, but we still have more energy to come. We have new low-pressure systems and a new front that's going to help us support the next storm system into Friday's forecast. And because Friday is out a little bit too far, I can't get into the nitty-gritty like I have here, and it really shows you the good colorations for opportunities for intense rain or storm activity. So we're going to have to go into our extended forecast data model runs. So I'm going to start you off with the European model, and I've got that one right here for you. And again, this has been very much on the conservative side for us. This European model really takes some of the raw data from the atmosphere and creates more of a, okay, we're blasting it in some areas. I want to be a bit more conservative and just show you more of a safer route of what kind of wet weather and storm activity we can see. So when we get to the dark greens and the yellows, that's going to be indicative of getting into storms, maybe an isolated severe storm threat involved in all of that. So let's move forward here. We're getting past Thursday. Let's get past Thursday and get into Friday. So here's Friday, early morning. Like a broad, widespread view, but right there, I'm trying to get it right on the spot, right on the dime, maybe like 3:30, 3:45. There we go. Dark greens and those yellows kind of speckled in all over the place. That's showing me that we've got wild instability to the atmosphere on this early morning time frame, and we could see some severe weather pop into the area within these kinds of locations, right? So that gives you a rough idea. This is a rough idea of what to anticipate on Friday's forecast, and using a very conservative model, all right? Let's keep on moving forward. There's 6 a.m. We readjust and redevelop some strong storm cells. Notice that we've got these lines that are moving through as well in oranges and yellows and reds. That's going to be your wind direction and speed. The brighter the color, the faster the wind is moving. So we could easily be talking gusts just in general at 30, 35 miles per hour out of the south as it continues to transfer warm, moist air into the storm system. We call that warm air advection, or the transfer of warm air from one area of the country to the other, usually in a horizontal pattern is what we're doing here, not a vertical pattern, which is more of convective convection, actually, just in general. Warm air convection is more of a transfer of warm air, but it could be more of a vertical, more so than a horizontal, so moving up into the atmosphere. Okay, let's keep on moving here. So we're going through Friday's forecast. Strong storms redevelop again by the late afternoon. There it is. Boom. Maybe to the north of the metro. But again, I would take all of this with a grain of salt. We're going to get much more details literally in the next 24 hours with our high-resolution models and our models that were from IBM and our Navy model run as well. That'll help us out too. But again, rough idea. This is where we could see another opportunity for strong storms. Anything in that dark green or yellow is more likely where we could see some of that severe weather. We continue on into the evening, and some strong storms light up there. They exit out, and we get a brief reprieve from storms Saturday morning. And even into the early afternoon, maybe a few showers start to develop here. By the evening on Saturday, and remember, we were talking about this. This is a 40% chance for storm activity, but we've got a heightened severe weather risk on Saturday. As we move towards the late evening, that's where it really amps up for us. And there it is. This is 10 p.m. Look at the yellows. Look at the orange that starts to pop up just outside around Emporia, where we have that 30% severe weather risk zone. This is where we may be seeing some supercells that produce some tornado development, or at least very large size hail. We could be talking well over the size of a quarter. It could be closer to a hen egg at times, which would be about 2 inches in diameter. So it's going to be something that we have to track closely for you. And again, I need to keep stressing, this is a rough idea of what we can anticipate right now from the data that we have received, and this is a conservative model overall of what we're indicating. So that's Saturday's forecast. That's the biggest impact. It goes into Sunday early morning. You can see on and off strong storm activity. And then finally moving on in towards the day side of Sunday, we finally get rid of these storms into the early evening and then start to see clear weather into our next work week. That is the entirety of the story that we've got going on for you, friends. It's a lot that'll be happening for us literally throughout the next 120 hours. Wild ride that we've got going on here. Okay, I am going to go back into Facebook, and I'm going to see if I can find a couple of comments here if anybody wants to pop on in. Let's see. I've got some comments here, but they don't seem to be popping up actively, so my apologies. I'm not seeing, these are actually old comments from another Facebook Live. So by all means, I'm trying to find where I can see your live comments, but if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know what to do. You could always get a hold of me on social media. And in particular, I do have my own social media page, Greg Bennett Weather Guy, but you could always check in and, tune into our Facebook here at KCTV5, obviously our website, and you could also phone in and get some information too. But this is what's going down. This is what we've got happening here in regards to the severe weather threat. So today's the day. Today is the day that you can plan and prep. That's what I'm calling for. I'm going to show you the forecast for today, kind of the next 12 hours that we've got going on. And it's going to pop up for you right there. There it is. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies for much of the day. We're getting into t-shirt weather, back to the 70s, and not bad with the wind. We start off with the wind out of the northeast. And by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we switch wind direction and it comes out of the southeast. By tomorrow morning, we could see gusts at 25 to 30 miles an hour, and it continues on from there right through the rest of our weekend with these strong storm cells. I could still see an opportunity for a few isolated showers around the early evening, so I want you to be ready there. Daytime highs making it into the lower 70s. Overall, it's a day that you can be outdoors and enjoy it, but we should also take an opportunity to get ready for the storm threat. If you do not know how to get ready for the storm, let's talk about that. Let's talk about where, what you should do in regards to the severe weather opportunity that we've got going on. So first things first, if you've got a family, you've got your whole family there in your home, and you're tracking them. Obviously, you want to know that you guys all have a plan together if things get really bad in your neighborhood and around your house, right? So the first thing is you guys have to plan a location that you guys want to be at in regards to when severe weather gets really nasty out there. And in that particular location, it's going to be the most interior portion of your home. Whether that's the basement, if you've got one, that is a great spot to be overall. But if you don't have a basement, or maybe the basement isn't necessarily the safest place for you, maybe it floods often, maybe you've got some damage down there and you don't feel safe, then you want to go to the most interior location of your home. The more walls between you and the outside, the better. So that might be an interior hallway or an interior closet. Maybe you have a bathroom with no windows that's more into the interior of your home. Those are great locations to meet up and be at when severe weather gets pretty nasty out there, right? So that's a great location for it. And while you're over there and you've got your family and you've got your pets with you, hopefully each one of your family members has created what we call a go bag. It's basically a backpack or duffel bag, and it's filled with the absolute necessities during a severe weather event. Just in case your home is in the midst of getting some significant damage, you'll have this go bag with all the necessary items you need to survive. That could be extra pair of socks and shoes, preferably sneakers. This could be some just clothing in general, just in case your clothes get really wet or dirty or tattered from the severe weather threat. Also, extra batteries. In general, especially a portable battery for maybe your smart device. You want to have that ready to go so you can charge it. You also want to have batteries and a flashlight, right? Maybe there's a crowbar in there for you, a tool that you can use to help you dig out, if necessary, from a severe weather opportunity. You also want to have some non-perishable food items in there. Basically, maybe some granola bars, maybe some canned goods, something that will give you nourishment and give you calories to burn if you are in a serious situation and you need to get yourself out of it, or you're stuck sitting for a long period of time. And that also goes for water. We want to make sure that we have water available in that go bag. The other thing to also have is obviously a first aid kit. You could hurt yourself. You could get injured during a severe weather event, and you want to have that first aid kit ready to go to make sure that you don't get an infection and you kind of stitch yourself back together. So that's going to be a very good idea. Another thing, a side note that you can also do is to maybe have your important documents added to that go bag. We're talking about birth certificates. We're talking about maybe vital information that would be extremely difficult for you to get, or would take a very long time to get a new copy of. So maybe that Social Security card, maybe those birth certificates. We've already talked about that. Driver's licenses, that kind of stuff that may take a lot of time and proof to show to a government. You might want to keep that with you in that go bag. That way, it doesn't get lost in the chaos, right? So those are some good things, right? So you've got that plan. You've got that go bag. Now let's talk about what's going on the outside of your house, right? So if you are in a tree-lined area, or if you've got trees in your backyard, check out that tree. Is there a couple of branches that should be trimmed up? Should that be something you should cut down today? Can you cut that? Do you have to call up somebody to get that cut down? Maybe that's something that you want to think about or consider. If you can't do any of that, maybe it's too expensive, just to understand, okay, maybe that might be a branch that goes. Is that going to hurt my house? Is that going to do damage to my house? Is that going to injure myself or my family? and adjust accordingly for that plan with your family, right? If you have any outdoor patio furniture, any, decor. It could be just your kids' toys that are out and about. I think it's time to bring those indoors. Bring them into the garage, somewhere safe. That way they don't get picked up in the high wind as projectiles for the rest of the neighborhood and, of course, your front yard and your backyard, right? So that's something to take into consideration. Gas grills. Good idea to bring those indoors as well, including the propane tank. Want to keep that into the garage. If you typically keep your car in the driveway and not the garage, might want to make room for it in the garage. If we get hail, you're going to receive some serious damage. So that's something to take into consideration as well. So those are the kinds of things that we want to think about when we get to a severe weather opportunity, right? And again, we've got a significant severe weather threat on deck for us as we move forward. We got a couple of comments still popping on in here. They're slow to come in, but they are coming in for us. We're talking about, people saying we are ready for it. Let's go. I'm ready for this as well. I've already talked to my family about a plan. So that's great. That's great to hear from you guys. I'm glad that you guys got that going on. Let's go quickly one more time over where we've got with our severe weather opportunity. I've been showing you Friday's forecast just for an example here as a widespread slight risk or level 2 zone for severe weather activity, and it's a heightened threat for damaging wind and hail. We also have that opportunity for spin up out there. The ingredients for severe weather is just palpable. I mean, it's pretty impressive that what we've got going on here. Not enough quite yet to get into that enhanced threat, but to be quite honest, as we move forward in time and gather more data, and literally we've been seeing changes to the atmosphere on the daily for you, adjusting the weather scenario accordingly, letting you know first about it. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point one of these days does become an enhanced risk. I wouldn't be surprised if one of our first warns is upgraded to a first warn weather day, okay? I want you to have that to the back of your head that we may have to adjust for that as we gather more information getting closer and closer to these storm events. So that is definitely still on the table for us for that to occur, so I want you to be prepared for it. We have got a plethora of severe thunderstorm situations on tap for us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have first warns on deck, and we talked about this, how we can issue first warns for just, inclement weather. We can do that for nuisance weather, like a wear and tear thunderstorm that can happen. It may not be severe, but it could slow you down on the roadways. It may stop you from going to events that you wanted to go to today. That still issues a first warn because it kind of screws up your day, and that sucks. So we sometimes just do that. But in this particular location, this situation, I should say, it's not just for the widespread opportunity for rain or storm activity. Each one of these days has a severe weather potential to it. That's what's interesting about this. Each one of these days has a severe weather threat attached to its high chance for wet weather thunderstorm activity. The lowest severe weather threat that we have for all of these days is Thursday's forecast. And check that out. The difference between Thursday and Saturday in this particular situation, in the rain chance itself. We have more of a numerous threat on Thursday compared to more of a scattered threat for Saturday. But Saturday is one of the most intense severe weather days we may have. Friday still looks rather impressive, I've got to tell you right now when it comes down to it. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. It has a lot to do with the fuel source that we're getting from the south, what we call warm, moist, and unstable air, creating instability to the atmosphere. We have something that's called shear. Shear is another way to kind of spin up these storms and really jostle the atmosphere, creating a mixing kind of situation, and that provides even more instability and more energy for these storms to feed off of. And what we have is deep layer shear that's happening for us, and that basically means that we really have this opportunity to mix the atmosphere, and it's holding to this storm pattern. It's going to have a difficult time to break away from the storm pattern, and because of that, we've amplified obviously the severe weather potential, but there's still uncertainty to our forecasts. All right. There's still uncertainty on how much severe weather we truly see. Is it going to be isolated? Is it going to be scattered? Is it going to be widespread for severe weather? That's still uncertain for us. And there's also uncertainty on technically the intensity of that severe storm activity. Does that mean that we're going to see dime-size hail? Is it going to be quarter-size hail? Is it going to be the size of a baseball? Or are we going to see one tornado? Are we going to see no tornadoes? Are we going to see 10 tornadoes? There's uncertainty in that kind of situation. So why do we have uncertainty there? Well, let's talk about that. I want to talk about that. We discussed a little bit of it this morning. I want to go into more in depth with you. Why do we have an uncertain forecast for severe weather in general, Thursday through Sunday? It technically all starts with Thursday's outlook, where we have most of our major severe weather happening out towards Oklahoma. And we have what's called the warm sector. That's where we have the most warm, unstable, moist air that we have, and that's the sweet spot. That is the nurture zone for storm activity to develop. Now, it starts out west in Oklahoma and Texas. Now, depending on how much storm activity is created during our Thursday event, that's going to dictate how large the warm sector is for the rest of the severe weather opportunity Friday through Sunday. The smaller that warm sector is, the less likely that we're going to see a widespread severe thunderstorm event, and it could be more of an isolated threat. The larger it is, the better opportunity we could see a widespread opportunity, right? Then we go to instability of the atmosphere. How much energy is going to be left over from the storms that develop on Thursday? If there's enough energy and enough instability, warm air lift, then we get into a serious situation for severe storms through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If some of that storm activity just really sucked the energy out of the atmosphere, we may have a difficult time getting back all that instability. It's going to take a lot more out of other kind of factors from other areas of the storm system to kind of replenish that instability to the atmosphere, which means that we may not see a whole lot of active severe storms. It could be more isolated. That's something that we won't see until we go into our Thursday and we get the data from the atmosphere and immediately start adjusting for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the same thing goes for storm speed. We can have storms kind of elongate across a front or a low pressure system, but some will be isolated and move fast from one end of the storm system to the other. And in that particular situation, sometimes these storms glide right over the sweet spot way too fast. The sweet spot being that warm sector, that nurture zone to develop severe storms. So if these storms are moving too quickly, then they won't have an opportunity to gather strength and gain intensity, which would produce more severe weather. If they're too slow, well, we might just gob up some serious significant storms. But that may choose us to lower the instability and then lessen the warm sector over time. So that's the uncertainty. That's the things that we're always trying to juggle as meteorologists as we move forward in time here, friends. It's a big project that we undergo on a daily basis when we get into storm season here around the Midwest. And it makes our job very challenging. But that's why we get minors in mathematics and physics. So we can adjust and find this stuff quickly for you. And we love that challenge. I know I love that challenge, and trying to help you guys out so you get the most information sooner rather than later to plan and prep for you and your family to stay the most safe that you can. That's what we're all about here at First Warn Weather and KCTV 5 in general. You really want to stick with us, man. I'm telling you that. I'm not, I should say that I'm biased, right? Because I've been working with these guys for 2 years. But listen, I've been from one end of this country to the other as a meteorologist. I've worked for the Weather Channel for 4 years, right next to Jim Cantori and the rest of the crew over there. And Stephanie Abrams, a phenomenal, incredible, genius meteorologist. But I wanted to get back into the local field, and I wanted to get into a location that had some wild weather to it. And the Midwest is right smack dab in the center of it all. And I got to tell you, we do a really good job at this station making sure that you're staying safe. I've got to admit. And then you can trust in me, especially in your morning newscast, to make sure that you're staying safe. I got a lot of years when it comes down to being in this field in meteorology, and a big backing with my studies that I had at Florida State University, which, by the way, I believe is now the third best university in the entire country for meteorology, mainly specifically for tropical weather, but, you know, that's okay. So, listen, we've got your back here at KCTV5. That's all I'm saying. That's all, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I just want to let you know, like, when I'm talking about the storm activity and letting you know the details that I know and what's I think is going to be happening, I want you to know that it's backed by a lot of experience, skills, and education in meteorology, in mathematics, and physics. All right, so you can take it seriously. You know what I mean? You can trust in me that I've got your back. All right. Besides, I'm part of your community, guys. Like, I love you guys. I don't want anything to happen to you. It would be awful. It'd be terrible. All right, friends. That's all I got for you right now. We're gonna continue to monitor this, give you updates and more updates throughout the rest of the morning into the afternoon. We've got Warren Sears, our other First Warn 5 meteorologist, in. I believe Melissa Meter's going to be coming in. We've got Luke Doris during the evening, our chief meteorologist. We have got your back on this, so do not fret. You want to stay tuned with us. In the meantime, I'm going to be going to a school. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to teach some weather and chit-chat with a couple of young kiddos, about 300 of them, that it is an awesome idea to become a meteorologist because it's exciting, it's challenging, and you help protect people's lives, keep people safe. It's great stuff. All right, so for right now, I'm going to leave you a gorgeous, literally a gorgeous shot of the plaza. Clouds are going to start to build here, friends. I'm going to leave you with a beautiful shot of the plaza. That's what I want to do. I'm sorry, I accidentally muted myself. It's a beautiful morning. It really is. But listen, the clouds are going to build out there for us by the end of the day, and then we do have that small opportunity for wet weather. Storms are just around the corner. So today's your last day. Plan, prep, be ready for severe weather.